And Greg has a lot of experience working in men's minority health and different sort of settings with folks who are wanting to change and adapt their diet to support their health. So we're so happy to have you with us today, Greg. Welcome in. Good to see you. Thanks everybody for your patience on the sound issues.
Great to see you as well. Welcome, everybody. Really looking forward to today's topic. Thank you so much for joining on this wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. I just want to wish hope and love to everyone out there. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today in regards to the mind diet. Today's topic is how to love the mind diet. A lot of times when I start these courses on site with our care partners and the participants, it's something that's kind of hard to deal with. Cognitive decline, it's not easy. And myself coming into this as someone who is kind of on the fresher side of starting his career, we work with people who are seasoned professionals, who are very accomplished individuals who now face a moment in their life where things kind of have to be adjusted, or maybe they weren't paying attention as much to a certain aspect of their life. And now, which we have to talk about nutrition strategies in order to help mitigate some of the effects of the cognitive decline. So, learning how to love the mind diet, it's not super hard, it's not super difficult, because the mind diet is not super restrictive, and we're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to give an overview of the mind diet really quickly, and then we'll dive into why you should love the mind diet. So it is more of an approach, a lifestyle approach. I would say the mind diet is. And even though we are all different and we all have different types of ways of eating depending on what's going on, the mind diet does predicate itself on heart health. And we'll talk about that in a second, which also corresponds to your overall brain health too. We know that what you eat every day and how your body responds is ultimately influenced by your entire physiology. So there's no one size fits all. Everything is connected to some degree when it comes to the body, but then there are ways to focus on particular places in the body in which the mind diet focuses on the brain in that regard. So the mind diet is an acronym. It stands for Mediterranean hyphen dash. The I is for intervention, the N is for neurodegenerative, and the D is for delay. Right? So this is a mix between the Mediterranean and the DASH diets coming together to form this dietary pattern, this dietary suggestion known as the MIND diet. Very important to know. In essence, it's just combining two heart healthy diets to come together, which has powerful effects on your brain as well. Think of blood vessels. Think of how blood travels throughout our body the same kind of way that blood travels to our hearts. It's the same mechanism in which blood travels through the brain. Okay, so a lot of times you'll see people, or you might read statistics that say people who have a history of heart disease are at increased risk of developing dementia or Alzheimer's. It's because, again, what we call that vascular system, the way that the body flushes blood in and out, the way that blood moves in and out and circulates throughout our bodies. So, the same way there can be issues with the heart is the same way that blood might not get to our brains efficiently, which means that there's a lack of nutrients causing deficiencies, leading to a lot of things down the line. So, that's why we focus on this heart healthy diet that comes together to make the mind diet. Two heart healthy diets that come together to make the mind diet. So we'll just do a brief overview of the Mediterranean diet. Many of us have heard of it. It's actually one of the most researched diets out there now because of its effects on overall heart health and because heart disease is the number one cause of death in America. This is why a lot of dietary approaches tend to focus more so on the heart because of the high risk of mortality due to heart disease. So when we think of the Mediterranean diet, in general, we're going to be talking about healthy fats like olive oils, our nuts, seeds, nut butters, things of that nature. We be talking about our fatty fishes, like our salmons, our sardines, anchovies, herring, mackerel, tuna, things like that, that contain really healthy fats that can help the oxidation in our brains decrease. Limited red meat. So the Mediterranean diet, again, we're just looking at the Mediterranean right now. We're going to look at the dash. Again, Mediterranean and the dash come together to form the M.I.N.D diet. So the Mediterranean diet also, um, I don't want to say it promotes uh, wine consumption. However, in moderate consumption, wine has been shown to help the heart. Of course, when the dependency is developed in which people drink over the recommended amounts in high volumes over a long period of time, that can eventually weaken the heart. So wine is something that we talk about, but we don't always like flat out recommend it because of the fact that dependency can be developed, and there are a lot of other foods that can be more heart protective than minimal wine. Healthy grains, fruits and vegetables, low in processed sugars, low in added sugar. So again, these are just some of the common tenets of the Mediterranean diet. Now, the DASH diet is a diet that stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. And I know there's a lot of acronyms, but the DASH diet is mainly focusing on blood pressure. So the M.I.N.D diet is also focusing on blood pressure. I'm sorry, the Mediterranean diet also focuses on blood pressure, but in general, all sorts of heart disease. While the DASH diet tends to focus more so on blood pressure. All right. So that's exactly what hypertension is, high blood pressure. So the DASH diet focuses on decreased sodium, increased fruits and vegetables, increased fiber in order to help balance or to remove that sodium out of your system so that your blood pressure can be more regulated. All right. So I just wanted to take those two diets, compare them really quick because, again, the Mediterranean plus the DASH come together to form the M.I.N.D diet. So, really fast, some differences between these two dietary approaches. So, Mediterranean diet is more of a lifestyle. And this is what I like about the Mediterranean diet because yes, we can focus solely on the food aspect of things, but as you can see by this um photo here, we see at the bottom there, we see things like physical activity, we see shared meals, we see, togetherness, activities, staying active. These are very important pieces of the Mediterranean diet. All right, because again, of course, we can always focus on just the food, but it takes into consideration all these other factors as well. And that's why I really appreciate the program that we have at CEP because it's not only nutrition, but it's all of these other things that the Mediterranean diet encourages as well. Stress management via yoga and Tai Chi. We have physical activity in our exercise classes. We have so many other different arms of this program that help support this lifestyle that the Mediterranean diet here is talking about. Adequate sleep. That's another one as well, because a lot can be fixed in our lifestyles if we were to get adequate sleep. And I know as we age and depending on the stressors of life, sleep might be more difficult, and that's completely understandable. But we always should be striving or aiming for at least 8 hours of sleep a night to help regenerate and to restore our bodies to get ready for a new day. This is a pretty cool statistic. This says the hungriest organ in the body is the brain, in which it can use up to 20% of your daily calories, right? So, all of my keto folks out there, I always kind of tell them that the keto diet is not really a diet that supports your overall health like the M.I.N.D diet does. Because in the keto diet, you are restricting carbohydrates when your body needs carbohydrates. in normal, healthy amounts, of course. But your body needs bread and it needs whole grains and it needs fruits and it needs those foods to help stimulate energy and to give your body energy as well. And the brain feeds off of that primarily, right? That's why when you have low carbohydrate diets or you don't eat enough, you might get a hunger headache or you might feel lightheaded, right? It's because the brain is craving that carbohydrate, those carb sources in order to give it energy. And also, too, the brain really feasts off of what we call antioxidants. This is a term that I use a lot when I'm teaching in this program. Antioxidants. This is a chemical, I don't even say a chemical, but it's a compound that's found in natural foods, fruits and vegetables, mainly, as well as other foods too, that help to keep our brains and our bodies young, right? So as our bodies are subject to aging and inflammation as we age and certain lifestyle factors like stress that cause us to age, the antioxidants that are in fruits and vegetables help to, you know, oppose the effects of that aging, oppose the effects of the sickness to keep us healthy and to keep us young. Think of it like a avocado you cut open or an apple that you cut open and you leave it in the open, and of course it's gonna brown, it's gonna spoil a lot easier. But then if you were to squeeze some lemon juice on there that has citric acid or that has vitamin C, which is an antioxidant, it'll preserve it or keep it fresher. So that's exactly what's happening to our brains, to our bodies when we eat fruits and vegetables. It's preserving, it's keeping fresh so that we can live longer and live a lot more healthy as well. So the rest of the brain is made up of fat. So again, this is just more anatomy things, nothing really here to memorize or anything like that. Just trying to get you to see that a balanced diet is really important for your brain. Even for my low fat diet folks who feel like everything has to be low fat or no fat, the brain needs fat, okay? The brain needs healthy levels of fat because that's where your hormone production happens. So, I'm talking about, your common hormones like testosterone and estrogen, but I mean some of these other hormones as well, like your insulin, like your hunger hormones, your fullness hormones. So all of these different hormones are needed for your body to thrive and function. And in the presence of dietary fats, this is helping our bodies produce them. Now, of course, if we eat too much dietary fat, especially from the foods and the sources that are not as beneficial for us, it can become a problem. But in general, eating foods that have fat are totally healthy, totally fine, so that we know how to live a healthy life and have a balanced diet. I talked about antioxidants a little earlier. Again, they help neutralize and remove free radicals. So that's free radicals is just a term. Um, another term for free radicals is oxidation, right? So when you see antioxidants, which are found in fruits and vegetables, they are helping to decrease or to remove that oxidation, right? Well, we can't really remove oxidation because, we all age naturally, but to help decrease or limit that oxidation, to help our bodies protect itself from the effects of that oxidation. That's why we need to eat fruits and vegetables, so that our bodies can stay young, our skin can stay glowing, we can be as youthful as possible. This is why antioxidants are important. So yes, the mind diet is very important. Some very simple, basic mind diet components here. It focuses on leafy greens, eating nuts and seeds, berries, eating beans, olive oil as your main cooking oil because there's a powerful antioxidant inside of olive oil called polyphenols that can help support brain health and heart health, and limiting foods that are not good for your brain health. So we'll talk about that in a second. So this one says differences. So earlier I talked about the similarities. between like the Mediterranean and the Dash. So some differences is that, it's less demanding. There's no specific fruit recommendation between the Mediterranean and the Dash. Fewer required servings of fish, grains, fruits, and or vegetables. No emphasis on the dairy when it comes to the Mediterranean diet in comparison to the Dash. Now, when it comes down to fruits, again, I'm just kind of telling you facts. Um, we want to increase those berries and those leafy greens. People ask me all the time, what's the best fruit to consume? Well, it depends on what we're looking for. Because if I have type 1 diabetes myself, so if I'm looking for something to raise my blood sugar very fast because my blood sugar is low, at that time, the best fruit is going to be a fruit that is higher in sugar, right? So a banana or a pineapple, those will really spike my blood sugar and help me get to a normal level. But if we're talking about overall brain health, if we're talking about like overall health with good fiber and good balance, then berries are going to be kind of like at the top of that list, because they have the healthy carbohydrates, they have the healthy sugars, they have the healthy fiber, they have a little bit of protein as well. So they really are powerful, and those leafy greens as well. Some powerful antioxidants in those berries and those leafy greens. That does not mean that you should not eat other fruits. But if we're looking for like really high quality, powerful antioxidant properties that can help protect from cognitive aging, then we're going to look at our berries. All categories of berries, whether that's blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, even like, cherries to some degree kind of have the same properties as those. So berries in general and those leafy greens is what I would tell you from a vegetable standpoint. So the Mind diet focuses on these 10 foods, right? So this is just a high level overview of what the Mind diet wants you to focus on. It wants you to focus on more whole grains, more leafy greens, other vegetables. So these are other vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, some of those other vegetables that are not leafy greens. Number 4, nuts, seeds. Number 5, like beans, lentils. Number 6, berries. Number 7, poultry, like chicken, turkey. Number 8, fish. Number 9, wine, again in limited amounts. And 10, olive oil. If we can incorporate to some degree these foods into our daily eating, this can really help to protect our brains. And if you're looking at this list right now, you're just like, I do not eat any of this. I would just challenge you to start off with one. Start somewhere and see how you can incorporate that food. See how we can make some of these foods more consistent in our breakfast, lunch, dinners, as well as our snacks too. And if you're noticing, all of these foods outside of two, which is number 7 and 8, are plant foods. Again, the Mind diet is really, really heavy on plant foods, again, because of the high antioxidant properties. It's helping your brain fight. It's helping your heart fight. So again, focuses more on that plant aspect. So why love the Mind diet? I want to talk about 4 reasons to love the Mind diet, and it's going to be an acronym. L stands for long life. It promotes long life, healthy brain. And I love this photo right here that just kind of shows different vegetables that are coming together to form the brain. I really like this photo here. You see broccoli, you see greens, you see berries, tomatoes, peppers, onions. So all of these different types of fruits and vegetables have different types of property to support a healthy brain that can support long life. So a plant forward diet keeps your mind, skin, and bones young and strong. And many studies have shown that there is decreased mortality risk, basically decreased chance of dying when eating a plant forward food pattern like the Mind diet, right? Now, people ask all the time, and I believe there was a question in the chat about like, plant-based diets. Some people benefit very well from a plant-based diet. But I will say this, sometimes it's important to talk to a dietitian or somebody who is a nutrition expert because um even though yes, you may be plant-based, but you are also at the risk of certain nutrient deficiencies. For example, like B12, your iron levels may be low, right? Just because B12, for example, is specifically found in animal products. um Iron, for example, yes, it's found in a lot of plant foods, but the most abundant sources of iron can be found in some of those animal sources as well. So it's not 100% necessary to be 100% plant-based and vegan. um However, I would absolutely recommend being more plant forward. Instead of having a large bowl of pasta and ground beef solely as a meal, I would look for ways to include spinach or maybe some broccoli on the side, or maybe I have a vegetable stir fry when I incorporate some pasta inside of that vegetable stir fry. So as you can see, you're changing the composition of the meal while still incorporating some of the same foods, right? So again, that's just a way for you to focus on having more plants. But just to answer that question, you don't have to be vegan or 100%, staying away from animal products to have a healthy diet. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But in general, the Mind diet helps to promote long life because of the increased fruit and vegetable consumption that it promotes. Another reason why to love the Mind diet, our reason O, is because it helps to decrease that oxidation that I spoke to you earlier about, that aging. We are going to age naturally as things, happen in our lives, and as our lives roll on, we're going to be a little bit slower when it comes to certain things, remembering things or certain tasks. It happens naturally. But the reason why we can love the Mind diet is because it can help us fight against that, right? You see certain people who, you know, eat a healthy diet throughout the course of their lives, and they get to a position where they're older and you can see how they look different, or maybe they're a little bit more mobile, or maybe they're able to do a little bit more. Again, that can be attributed to a lot of the antioxidants that they ate throughout the course of their lives. So we want to promote that even right now. If you're somebody who doesn't eat fruits and vegetables and has never eaten fruits and vegetables, you starting to eat more now can make a significant difference in how you feel and how your body functions. It's not too late. So we want to always promote that. Foods that accelerate aging and cognitive decline. And my third bullet point here: sweets, red meats, and fried treats. That's my my little saying. It rhymes. It's easy to remember. Sweets, red meats, and fried treats. Three of the foods that are going to really help slow down our brains and kind of work against the mechanisms that the healthy mind diet is trying to promote, right? So sweets, we already know what those are: pastries, candy, whatever it may be. Red meats, they are high in what we call saturated fats, which can really cause a strain on blood getting to where it needs to in our body, because of our blood vessels that may get clogged. And fried treats, same reason, as well as the fact that it promotes more weight gain, more fat gain, and whatnot. So the Mind diet really tries to focus on limiting these foods. And when I have these discussions with people, we have fun with it. Of course, everybody to some degree eats some sort of candy or some sort of dessert, or whatever the case may be. But we really want to focus on finding ways to decrease, to limit some of those foods so that we can help our brains thrive and function the way that it's supposed to. So far we have: it promotes long life for L, and for O, it helps decrease oxidation. V is because the variety. There are tons of ways we can incorporate mind diet foods. And actually, a lot of folks, see the mind diet as restrictive and it's a boring type of lifestyle. It's bland, it's, unseasoned, it's non-flavored. That is very far from the truth because just because you eat more fruits and vegetables does not mean that you have to eat foods that's not seasoned, right? It doesn't mean that you have to eat, broccoli with absolutely no flavor with that broccoli. You'll live a very miserable life if you don't use seasoning. It's okay to use seasoning. What we want to really watch out for is our sodium, right? Our salt-based seasonings, creams or sauces that have high sugar. We want to be careful with the quantity of those that we use, but incorporating them in dishes are perfectly fine, right? But there are tons of variety. I mean, just look at this colorful array of foods here, and as you can see, you see different pigments, you see different types of foods represented here, a wide variety here. What's beautiful is that our brain, our bodies love this kind of variety just as much as we love looking at it right now, right? The colorful array of variety here. Each color is representing some positive benefit in our body and in our brain. And when I teach these classes, I talk about how our dark purple and red and blue types of antioxidants, versus our green type of antioxidants versus our yellow and orange types of antioxidants. They all are doing the same thing, but in different types of ways. For example, like your yellows and your oranges, these are high in vitamin A. They contain a pigment called beta carotene, right? And that beta carotene helps to promote your eye health, your skin health, as well as some functions in your brain as well. So these things are so fun, and there's so much variety and so much that we can do with eating foods that are on the mind diet, and it's not restrictive. I will say that some of the foods that the mind diet promotes, we saw the list of 10. All of those foods have a different property about them. But when you look at the foods that the Mind diet recommends that we limit, the sweets, the fried treats, the red meats, they all kind of follow the same trend. They all are high in a specific type of fat called saturated fat, and they all tend to be high in sugar. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because that's what the standard American diet looks like right now. But when you look at the Mediterranean, I'm sorry, when you look at the Mind diet, you're looking at so much variety. So you're getting a lot more variety of nutrients eating this type of way than you are not eating this type of way, right? So if you think that it's restrictive, it's actually more abundant of a diet than anything. And when I say diet, I want to be very careful when I use that word. I mean more so of an eating style, eating pattern, eating system than anything rather than like a cold diet. So we saw L, we saw O, we saw V. So L is long life, is a reason why you should love the Mind diet. O is because it decreases oxidation. V is because it promotes variety. And then E is because the Mind diet is for everybody. It is a dietary approach that can be enjoyed by all people, no matter what season of life, no matter what age, no matter what economic background. Even though, yes, there may be differences in access to healthy foods, depending on the community that you live in or depending on where you're from, it's still a diet that can benefit everyone. And, Megan talked about how, we had some potlucks yesterday in this space because at the end of our class, we do a potluck where everyone brings in a Mind diet inspired recipe or a traditional recipe that they enjoy that utilizes Mind diet recommended types of foods. And it was so wonderful to see how we all sat together and enjoyed eating, right? This is a tenet of the Mind diet, shared meals, coming together, promoting like that togetherness and that unity. is very important when it comes to maximizing your brain health, right? There's a lot of nostalgia that's tied to certain dishes. I'm not one to say, you should not eat that food anymore because, it's not good for your brain, or and that's a recipe that your family has been using every Christmas for the past 30, 40 years. But what I am recommending is that maybe there's a way that you can incorporate more of a particular ingredient and maybe less of another ingredient in order to promote the health aspect of it. Still the same meal, still the same dish, but prepared in a more mind friendly way. These are just small adjustments that we talk about whenever we get together in our classes. So the mind diet is not only beneficial for brain health, but it's also beneficial for hormonal health, like I shared with you earlier, heart health, bone health, you name it. Okay. It's going to benefit everybody because it's good for everybody to some degree, no matter what type of ailment or condition that they are experiencing. Everyone benefits from eating away like this, which is why we should love the mind diet. And just to kind of wrap it up, the mind diet is very simple. There's no specific calorie counting. Especially at this stage of life, we shouldn't really be overly concerned about calorie counting. We should be um, trying to get enough calories in because, of course, appetites tend to decrease, and factors maybe textures are a little bit more hard to tolerate because of certain things dealing with our like oral health or whatnot. But in general, we don't have to be calorie counting. We don't have to, make long lists of foods that are on our nice and naughty list. It doesn't have to be like that. What we can focus on is more color, more fruits and vegetables, and a little bit less of those foods that Mind Diet tells us to limit. And we have a Mind Diet friendly eating pattern. And that's what we really want to focus on. It's not overly restrictive, it's not prescriptive, it's everyday eating in a way that you can enjoy using certain foods that can promote your overall heart and brain health. Emphasis on foods that can protect the brain. So these are some reasons why we should love the Mind Diet. It's not, and many of us have probably been on diets in which it was overly restrictive. Maybe there was a list of do's and don'ts. Maybe there was a list of eat this at certain times or don't eat this at certain times of the day. With the Mind Diet, it's not like that. We open it up to fruits and vegetables, open it up to healthy fats, lean proteins, and that right there are the basic components of a well balanced and healthy diet. So, again, these are reasons why we should love the Mind Diet. I hope you all enjoyed today and find reasons and find ways for you to incorporate Mind Diet foods. And I would love to answer some questions now.